Big man ting, smash the like button and subscribe. Well, now, I can't lie here. I'm gonna have to ask you, man, for your opinion, because maybe I'm seeing things. So like I said, in the comments below, let me know what you think, but in the comment section below, or in the description below, I've also included a link to the original video. Now, if you go to the original video, and you go to the 1 minute 50 section, and you watch for around 1 minute, you'll see the shots which I'm referencing in this video. Now, I may have included the clip in this video. If so, then you don't need to click it obviously, but I'm just saying I'm not sure about the copyright situation. So if I haven't included the clip of Wilder banging the pads, then the link's in the description. Either way, the fact of the matter is, in my opinion, it looks as if, in my observation, it looks as if Deontay Wilder is now turning some of his hooks and his uppercuts over a lot more shortly and sweetly than in the past. What do you guys think? Like I said, maybe it's my imagination. Maybe I haven't studied Wilder enough on the pads before, but these hooks and these uppercuts look very short and sharp. Very short and sharp. And this is the problem, you see. I hate to say it, but what do we know? The YB's been on YouTube for about a year now. Yeah, all these other goofy dudes, all these other so-called boxing experts who have been in gyms for 20 years and whatnot, they've been on YouTube and they haven't really been commenting. Yeah, they've said Wilder's sloppy, but they haven't really talked about turning shots over. They haven't talked about digging elbows into shots. 2-2s, the YB comes on here, all of a sudden, you got Fury you looking to turn, and it mad though, do you remember, just quickly, do you remember when I said that Fury's technique was poor? And everyone laughed at me saying, oh, YB, oh, imagine you trying to tell a pro how to throw shots. Next thing you know, he's leaving Ben Davidson and he's going to the Kronk gym. 2-2s, we see Wilder now practicing and sharpening his shots up and really digging his hooks and digging his uppercuts off. Is it a coincidence? I don't know, you tell me. Either way, the facts of this video are, what I observe now, Wilder looks as if he's shortened up them hooks and them uppercuts. And in a way, like I said, I wish I hadn't said nothing. From an AJ fan point of view, to be fair, they ain't sharper or shorter than AJ's, but still, from an AJ fan point of view, I like AJ's odds a lot more with Wilder not being able to fight on the inside and being swinging and leaving his chin in the air and being loopy. When it's like, one thing for sure, if Wilder's throwing shots like that, it's going to be a lot harder to fight him on the inside. However, having said all this, one thing we must remember, and I actually had to remind myself this, is this. This is the pads. And like I said, I haven't done a 10-part analysis of 10 different pad sessions of Wilder and kind of compared them. I'm just going based on this one. Based on this one, it looks a lot shorter than I've seen him throw in a fight. Now, what that might mean is, it might be the case that Wilder always throws shots this short on the pads. We can all look good on the pads. We can all look short and sharp on the bag. But what happens when you've got a moving target? And most importantly with Wilder, what happens when that adrenaline's pumping? We know Wilder's a very adrenal fighter. He's talked about it himself. When he thinks he's hurt a fighter, he kind of loses all composure. He starts running in and just throwing crazy shots. So it might be the case that Wilder's always been able to, when he's in the pads and there's no pressure and there's no adrenaline, we can all keep it short and keep it sharp then. Can he keep it short and keep it sharp when he's under pressure, when he's being hit back, when the adrenaline is flowing, and when the lights are on? That's a whole nother question. That said, from what I'm observing now, it's looking good. From a fight fan's point of view, this is looking positive, because it could be worse. He could still be slapping on the pads, and that would show that he's making no improvement. But still, can Wilder handle it under the lights? I've got another video coming soon where exposing Wilder, well, not exposing him, just showing you what he said. Wilder himself said after the first fight in December 2018 against Fury, he came out and said that the reason he underperformed. Look at his right hand in that first fight. It wasn't short and sharp, was it? It wasn't the same right hand that he hit Brazil with. It wasn't the same right hand that he hit Ortiz with the second time. He was looping it over. He was way too aggressive with it. And the reason he said he was throwing it like that was because he was anxious. He was anxious because it was his first big event. Wilder's first big event, and essentially he choked. And that's why he couldn't straighten it up. He couldn't shorten it up. He was desperate with it. So we do have to bear that in mind. And this could be the character that Wilder is. He could just be known as a choker. He may never be able to throw a short shot under pressure. Now we can talk about Wilder himself recently has talked about how, oh, I've had good prep. Look at how I did Ortiz. Look at how I did Brazil. Yeah, but what do we know? We already knew you can perform not under pressure. The question is, can you perform when you've got a world-class fighter in front of you and the expectation and a so-called big event? That's the question we need to know. We know you can throw shots on the pads, or we know you've made improvements on the pads. Can you now convert that? Can you maintain that calm that AJ can, for example? When AJ look at AJ now with Ruiz. Them right hands were as short and as sharp as you like. He weren't over anticipating them. He wasn't over. In fact, maybe in the first. And this is the crazy thing. What do we know? AJ in the first fight allegedly suffered with some anxiety issues. And what happened there? He was overstepping with his shots. He was overreaching with his shots and getting caught, etc., etc. Now, in the second fight, that weren't the case. In the second fight, he was whip, and then move. Whip, whenever he threw a right hand, it was short, sharp. There was no leaning over. Everything was calculated and sharp. And that was an AJ off day on June 1st. Wilder, on the other hand, and this is the problem, you see, when you spend your whole career fighting tomato cans, you don't get no experience under the lights. AJ, thankfully, he's been in there with Charles Martin his first time after only 3 years as a pro. He's been in there with Klitschko. He's been in there with Povetkin. He's been in there time and time again in high pressure, high win or lose situations. He's been in there with a Ruiz rematch after a devastating first loss. Wilder again, what's he been doing since the first time he choked against Fury? Fighting more bums, which we knew he could do anyway. This is the question. Can Wilder convert this short shotness to the Fury fight? If he can, his chances increase. If he can, and Fury comes and brings it, in terms of what we've been talking about with Fury, i.e. Fury talking about fighting on the inside and roughing Fury up, this is going to be a cracking fight. Imagine if, by miracle, Wilder's in there digging these short uppercuts and these short hooks that he's throwing on the pads in there with Fury. Because my whole strategy with Fury has been that same high guard he used against Steve Cunningham. But the problem with a high guard like that is the main weakness to a high guard like that kind of, not peekaboo, but that orthodox high guard, the weakness to it is your obliques. Them shots that you see Wilder throwing there, where he's kind of hooking to the head and then uppercut into the oblique section, that is where you are vulnerable. But can Wilder pull it off? I've never seen him pull it off, and this is the problem. This is why I've always backed AJ against Wilder. I've never seen Wilder stand there in an inside fighting situation and pull off a combination like this. So the question is, has Wilder always been training like this and then been unable to convert it into the ring on the night? Or is this something new? Is this a new skill he's learned? Is he going to be able to produce this under the lights? So many questions, so little answers. It adds to the excitement, that's for sure. All I hope is that we just don't get a repeat of the first one, where both men just stand off at mid-range and it's a complete borer. That's all I hope. But from what I'm seeing, it's looking exciting. But like I started off this video, what I want to know from you, man, is do you think Wilder's turning his shots over better? Or is it my imagination? That's the main thing. In the comments below, let me know. And anyone who wants to support your boy the YB, check me out in the Patreon in the link in the description below, patreon.com/the YB.